Imagine standing in a vast, frozen expanse, the wind biting at your skin, snow stretching endlessly under a gray, heavy sky. This was the world 1.3 million years ago, a harsh, glacial desert where survival was a daily challenge. Primitive human groups moved cautiously across this icy landscape, each step a careful calculation between danger and necessity. But amid the relentless cold, there was one element more vital than any tool or weapon: water. How did they find it when rivers were frozen, lakes buried under thick ice, and the land itself seemed inhospitable? The answer lies in observation, intuition, and a deep connection with the environment. Early humans could not rely on maps or written directions. They had to read the subtle language of the land. Tracks of animals suggested life, and where animals gathered, water was often nearby. Certain types of vegetation hinted at underground springs, while the angles of sun and shadow over the terrain guided them toward possible meltwater sources. These clues were not obvious. They demanded patience and a keen understanding of the environment, skills honed over generations. Picture a group huddled together, scanning the horizon. Each member's senses were finely tuned, ears listening for the distant roar of a river under ice, noses detecting the faint scent of moist soil, eyes tracing the irregular patterns in the snow that hinted at a water source. Every decision carried weight. A misstep could mean dehydration, exposure, or even death. Survival depended on interpreting the whispers of nature, translating subtle signs into life-sustaining actions. In this frozen wilderness, water was more than sustenance. It was the key to mobility, to safety, and to the continuation of the group itself. It shaped migration routes, dictated alliances, and defined the rhythms of daily life. Understanding where to find it was not just practical, it was a form of intelligence, a testament to the adaptability and ingenuity of our distant ancestors. As we journey into this glacial world, consider this. What would you risk to find water in a place where the landscape itself seems to resist your presence? Keep that thought in mind, because the strategies these early humans developed would lay the groundwork for survival in environments far harsher than most of us could imagine. If this glimpse into the past fascinates you, don't forget to like and share your thoughts in the comments. How do you think you would have fared in such a frozen desert? And now let's move deeper into the icy terrain to explore the climate and landscape that shaped every step of these early human explorers. Step into the world 1.3 million years ago, a time when glaciers sculpted the land into jagged plains of ice and rock. These glacial deserts were unforgiving, where temperatures plunged well below freezing, and the sun, when it appeared at all, offered little warmth. Snow drifted endlessly across the horizon, sometimes hiding. Treacherous crevices or frozen rivers beneath a deceptively smooth surface. The terrain was ever-changing. Ice sheets advanced and retreated with relentless rhythm, reshaping the landscape in ways that demanded constant adaptation. Vegetation was sparse. Only the hardiest of plants, lichens, mosses, and a few stunted shrubs, could survive the freezing winds and nutrient-poor soil. Trees, if present, were small and scattered, their roots gripping the frozen ground in a desperate attempt to thrive. In this environment, water was not only scarce, but often hidden under layers of ice, snow, and sediment. The landscape itself became a puzzle, with survival hinging on the ability to interpret subtle environmental clues. Rivers and streams that might have supported life during warmer periods were now partially frozen, often running silently beneath thick ice. Small depressions in the terrain, pockets of melted snow, or thin layers of flowing water beneath frozen surfaces offered the few sources of hydration available. The early humans of this era had to navigate these hazards carefully, understanding the interplay between ice and liquid, terrain, and temperature. The sheer scale of the landscape presented challenges as well. Horizons seemed endless, making orientation difficult. Landmarks that might guide a modern traveler were often obscured by snowdrifts or fog. This created a continuous tension between exploration and caution. One wrong step could lead a group far from safety or essential resources. Yet, despite the formidable environment, life persisted. Animals adapted alongside humans, developing migration patterns that often indicated where water could be found. Observing these creatures became a critical survival strategy. This glacial desert was not merely a backdrop. It was a character in the story of early human life, shaping behavior, movements, and choices. Understanding its rhythms and signals required more than instinct. It demanded observation, memory, and innovation. The harsh climate was both a threat and a teacher, guiding early humans to develop strategies that would echo through millennia. As we prepare to meet the humans themselves and explore the challenges they faced, keep in mind that every footprint left on this frozen terrain tells a story of resilience, intelligence, and a desperate pursuit of life-sustaining water. Imagine moving through a frozen expanse where every step could be your last. The humans of 1.3 million years ago were not merely surviving. They were navigating an existence defined by constant danger and relentless necessity. These were early Homo species, whose physical and cognitive abilities were evolving rapidly, yet still rudimentary compared to modern humans. Their hands could fashion stone tools. Their minds could solve immediate problems. But the icy deserts offered challenges that tested every skill they possessed. Life in glacial deserts demanded a keen awareness of surroundings. Predators, from giant carnivores to stealthy packs of wolves, shadowed every movement. The scarcity of food forced these early humans to travel long distances, often exposing them to freezing temperatures and hidden hazards. Injuries or frostbite could be fatal, and survival depended on both skill and luck. Yet what drove them forward was not just the search for sustenance, it was the pursuit of water, the lifeblood of every community. These groups were small, typically family-sized or slightly larger bands, bound together by cooperation and shared knowledge. Communication was primitive, a mix of gestures, sounds, and perhaps early forms of vocalization. Decisions about when and where to move, how to divide labor, and when to rest had immediate consequences for life or death. In this world, the young learned quickly, observing elders as they interpreted subtle signs of water and shelter hidden in the frozen landscape. The challenges were not merely environmental. Navigating this terrain required balancing, curiosity, and caution. Early humans needed to experiment with tool use for cutting, digging, and breaking ice, all while maintaining safety from predators and the elements. Mistakes could leave them stranded or exposed for hours in sub-zero temperatures. Yet, these trials cultivated adaptability and ingenuity, the traits that would eventually define the survival success of our species. Even in such a forbidding world, human determination was remarkable. The early groups moved with purpose, leaving footprints in the snow that marked the first chapters of exploration in harsh glacial deserts. They learned to read the terrain, to anticipate the behavior of animals, and to follow instinct guided by experience. Every journey, every discovery of water represented a triumph of mind and body against an environment that seemed designed to repel life itself. As we continue, we will explore how these early humans interpreted the signs of water around them, transforming observation into a life-saving strategy that ensured their survival in the glacial wilderness. In a frozen desert, water rarely announces itself. For early humans, survival depended on interpreting the subtlest signs of its presence. Every clue mattered. Patterns in the snow, the behavior of animals, the hint of moisture in the soil beneath their feet. Observing these signals was a silent art, a conversation between human perception and the frozen environment. Animals were the most reliable messengers. Herds of grazing mammals moved with purpose, often converging on hidden streams or thawed ponds. Predators followed them, but the humans watched silently from a distance, learning where life-sustaining water might lie. Even tracks left in the snow could reveal the path to liquid water if one knew how to read them. Following footprints, distinguishing those that led to water from those that led to danger, required experience and intuition honed over years. Vegetation offered another subtle guide. Certain mosses, lichens, and shrubs thrived near water sources, their green persistence standing out against the monochrome white of snow and ice. These signs were delicate and easily missed, yet they spoke volumes to the keen observer. A small depression, where the soil was soft or slightly darker, might conceal a spring beneath ice. Observing these details required patience and a level of attention that early humans had no choice but to master. Even the land itself whispered its secrets. Changes in the slope of hills, the shape of valleys, or the curvature of frozen riverbeds hinted at the presence of water below. Glacial ice, when cracked or layered differently, could indicate areas where meltwater pooled beneath the surface. Understanding these formations transformed treacherous terrain into a navigable map of survival. Every decision in pursuit of water carried risk, yet the rewards were undeniable. Early humans who mastered these signs gained not just access to hydration, but an understanding of the environment that would safeguard them for generations. Observing and interpreting nature became a cornerstone of survival, a silent dialogue between humans and the harsh glacial desert that surrounded them. How do you think you would interpret these natural signs if you were in their place? Could you read the hints hidden in the snow, the tracks of animals, or the whisper of vegetation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insight could be closer to their survival strategy than you imagine. As we follow their footsteps even further, we'll uncover the primitive methods used to actually collect and access water, turning observation into action. Observing signs of water was only the first step. Accessing it required ingenuity and courage. In a frozen desert, water could be trapped beneath layers of ice, hidden in narrow crevices, or sequestered in pockets of melt. Early humans relied on simple yet effective tools and techniques to collect this essential resource, transforming the environment's challenges into opportunities for survival. Stone tools played a crucial role. Sharpened rocks could break ice to reach the liquid beneath, or carve shallow channels that guided water to collection points. Wooden implements, often hardened in fire, served as probes to locate hidden springs or to dig through partially frozen soil. Even hands, carefully used to avoid frostbite, became instruments of extraction, feeling for softer patches in the ice or soil that hinted at moisture below. Groups also leveraged the natural environment. Snow could be melted over fire to provide immediate hydration, while thin layers of ice on streams or puddles were scraped or cracked to access the liquid inside. In some areas, water seeped slowly from rocks or accumulated in hollow depressions, and early humans learned to exploit these microsources with patience and persistence. Timing and technique were critical. Collecting water too hastily risked losing it to freezing temperatures or alerting predators drawn to the same sources. Early humans had to balance urgency with care, ensuring that every drop of water could be secured without waste. Often, multiple members of a group coordinated their efforts. One breaking ice, another catching meltwater in natural containers or animal skins, turning the act of collection into a shared skill that reinforced cooperation. Even the simplest methods required ingenuity. A hollowed stone could act as a temporary cup. Leaves or bark served as funnels. Fire could purify water while melting ice. Each solution reflected a deep understanding of the material world and the urgent need for hydration in an unforgiving environment. Through these primitive methods, water became more than a necessity. It became a testament to human adaptability. Observation alone could not save lives. Action was required, and early humans learned to act decisively, creatively, and collectively. Their strategies would influence countless generations, forming the foundation for survival techniques in extreme environments for millennia to come. As we prepare to explore the group strategies and social cooperation that underpinned these survival efforts, consider how much ingenuity and teamwork were required just to keep a single group alive in a frozen desert. In a frozen desert, survival was never a solitary endeavor. Early humans relied on the strength of the group, forging strategies that combined observation, experience, and cooperation. Each individual contributed to the collective knowledge of the environment, creating a shared intelligence that allowed the group to navigate the harsh glacial landscape with greater certainty than any lone traveler could achieve. Division of labor was essential. While some members scouted for water and food, others maintained shelters or crafted tools. Young individuals learned by watching elders, absorbing knowledge about tracking animals, identifying vegetation that indicated water, and recognizing the subtle signs hidden in snow and ice. Every action had purpose. Every role was critical. Without coordination, the risks of dehydration, starvation, or predator encounters multiplied exponentially. Communication, though primitive, was effective. Gestures, calls, and shared routines enabled the group to respond quickly to opportunities or threats. A single signal could redirect the entire group to a newly discovered water source or alert them to danger lurking beneath a snow-covered surface. The ability to transmit knowledge across individuals transformed survival from a series of isolated acts into a collective strategy, increasing the chances of success even in the harshest conditions. The group also relied on memory and landmarks to navigate. Repeated journeys between sources of water and shelter created mental maps, allowing early humans to move efficiently and avoid unnecessary risks. Knowledge was cumulative. What one group member learned could be preserved and passed down, creating a continuity of survival strategies that spanned generations. Trust and cooperation were not just social constructs. They were life-saving mechanisms. Shared responsibilities meant that no single individual bore the full burden of survival. Collective problem-solving allowed the group to innovate, combining observation, tools, and movement patterns to secure water, avoid predators, and endure the biting cold. The frozen desert tested the limits of human endurance, but it also revealed the remarkable adaptability of early humans. By moving, observing, and acting as a cohesive unit, they transformed a hostile environment into a landscape they could navigate, control, and survive in. As we continue, we will delve into the dangers encountered during these quests for water, from predators to extreme weather, and see how risk shaped every choice in the frozen wilderness. Every expedition to a water source in a glacial desert carried danger. The landscape was not merely cold, it was actively hostile. Ice could crack without warning, snowdrifts could conceal deep crevices, and sudden storms could erase tracks, leaving a group disoriented and exposed. Early humans learned quickly that vigilance was not optional. It was survival. Predators lurked silently, drawn to the same water sources that humans relied upon. Packs of wolves or large carnivores watched from a distance, striking with speed and precision. Even herbivores could pose threats, when encountered in defensive herds or during frenzied migrations. Early humans had to anticipate animal movements, predict behaviors, and plan escape routes, all while carrying the essential task of gathering water. The weather itself was an unpredictable adversary. Sudden drops in temperature could cause frostbite in minutes, while blizzards and whiteouts obscured landmarks and made even the most familiar terrain treacherous. Snow could accumulate quickly, creating hidden gaps or collapsing over fragile ice, turning a brief detour into a life-threatening trap. The margin for error was razor thin. Groups also faced conflict with other human bands. Water was scarce, and competition could erupt into confrontation. Navigating these encounters required diplomacy, awareness, and sometimes the strategic withdrawal to avoid unnecessary conflict. Every choice, where to move, when to rest, how to share information, had consequences that could determine life or death. Despite these perils, early humans pressed forward. Each challenge honed their skills, sharpened their intuition, and deepened their understanding of the glacial environment. The knowledge of risk became a survival tool itself, guiding decisions and ensuring that the search for water was not blind but calculated, careful, and informed. Considering the dangers they faced, it's remarkable to imagine how early humans managed these journeys day after day. How would you handle such threats if you were in their place? Could you read the land, anticipate predators, and survive the unforgiving cold? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective connects directly to the strategies that shaped early human endurance. Next, we'll examine how their understanding and experience of water sources evolved, shaping the knowledge that would carry humanity into the future. Over generations, the experiences of early humans in glacial deserts coalesced into a profound, evolving understanding of water and survival. What began as trial and error slowly transformed into a shared body of knowledge, passed down through observation, demonstration, and imitation. Every journey, every successful discovery of a hidden spring or melted ice pool contributed to a growing wisdom that enhanced the chances of survival for future generations. Patterns emerged. Early humans began to recognize seasonal shifts that influenced water availability. Snow melt in sheltered valleys, the subtle thickening of moss near hidden streams, or the migration paths of animals, all became predictable guides for finding life-sustaining water. Knowledge became cumulative, mistakes were remembered, and successful strategies were reinforced. This evolving expertise shaped movement patterns, hunting routines, and settlement choices, making survival more efficient even in the harshest conditions. Tools and techniques improved alongside understanding. Simple scraping stones and wooden probes gave way to more precise methods of extracting water from ice or frozen ground. Early containers, fashioned from bark, leaves, or animal skins, evolved into practical vessels that could store and transport precious liquid. Observation of the natural world informed innovation, linking environment, tool use, and human intelligence into a coherent survival strategy. Social learning amplified this evolution. Younger members of the group learned not only by doing, but by witnessing the choices and strategies of elders. Shared stories, gestures, and early communication methods allowed humans to transmit insights about water sources across time and space. The lessons embedded in the land became a living library, written not in words but in footprints, stone arrangements, and the careful placement of tools. This knowledge was both practical and transformative. It enabled early humans to survive longer in challenging landscapes, adapt to new regions, and respond to environmental changes with ingenuity. Understanding water, its hidden locations, seasonal variations, and reliable signals became a cornerstone of survival, shaping migration patterns and the very rhythm of life in glacial deserts. As we move forward, we'll compare these prehistoric strategies with modern survival techniques, revealing how the ancient mastery of water continues to resonate in extreme environments today. Stepping back from the frozen deserts of 1.3 million years ago, it's striking to see how early human strategies resonate with survival in today's extreme environments. Modern deserts, polar regions, and high-altitude landscapes may look different, but the principles remain remarkably similar. Water remains the most precious resource, and the techniques for locating, collecting, and conserving it echo the ingenuity of our distant ancestors. In modern icy landscapes, mountaineers and explorers still study terrain, animal tracks, and subtle signs of thawed streams, just as early humans did. Knowledge of seasonal cycles, wind patterns, and snow conditions is crucial to locating meltwater or safe drinking sources. Even in arid deserts, survivalists observe vegetation patterns, animal behavior, and depressions in the land to identify hidden water. These methods are direct descendants of prehistoric observational skills, refined with technology but grounded in the same fundamental understanding of nature. Technology has changed the speed and safety of modern exploration, but it has not replaced the need for observation and intuition. Maps, GPS, and ice drills offer precision, yet the underlying principle remains. Survival depends on interpreting the environment accurately and responding wisely. Just as early humans learned from animal behavior and subtle shifts in terrain, today's explorers must read signs in snow, sand, or rock to ensure life-sustaining hydration. Even social strategies persist. Teams rely on coordination, shared knowledge, and careful planning to navigate dangerous terrain. Communication, division of labor, and collective decision-making are as essential today as they were in the glacial deserts of the past. In this sense, modern survival is a continuation of the same evolutionary lessons learned millions of years ago. By comparing ancient and modern survival strategies, we see that humans are remarkable for their adaptability. The harsh environments of the past trained our species to observe, innovate, and cooperate, skills that continue to save lives in extreme conditions today. The frozen deserts of early human history were not merely obstacles. They were classrooms, teaching lessons that echo across time and geography. As we approach the final chapter, we will explore the legacy of these survival strategies and the lessons they impart for humanity, revealing how the pursuit of water shaped our evolution and resilience. The frozen deserts of 1.3 million years ago may seem distant and alien, yet the strategies developed by early humans continue to shape our understanding of resilience and survival. Every observation, every carefully measured step toward water became part of a legacy that stretches across millennia. These early humans taught us that intelligence is not only measured in invention, but in the ability to read and respond to the environment, to work collectively, and to persist in the face of adversity. The pursuit of water in glacial deserts was more than a practical necessity. It was a catalyst for evolution. Navigating these landscapes required innovation, cooperation, and foresight. Mental maps of terrain, patterns of animal movement, and knowledge of seasonal changes were passed down, creating a cumulative wisdom that influenced migration, settlement, and social organization. These lessons form the foundation of human adaptability, a trait that has allowed our species to survive in some of the most inhospitable regions of the planet. Even today, in an era of technology and modern infrastructure, the principles remain relevant. Observation, patience, and strategic cooperation are still vital in survival situations. By understanding how early humans interpreted subtle environmental cues, we gain insight into our own potential for adaptation and problem-solving. The frozen deserts of the past remind us that resilience is cultivated through careful attention to the world around us and thoughtful action in response to its challenges. As we close this journey through ancient glacial deserts, consider the broader implications. Survival is rarely a solitary endeavor. It is the product of shared knowledge, acute observation, and the courage to act despite uncertainty. These are lessons humanity carries forward, embedded in our collective DNA, influencing how we navigate challenges even today. If this exploration of early human ingenuity and survival strategies has fascinated you, reflect on it and share your thoughts in the comments. How do you think these ancient lessons apply to modern challenges, both in extreme environments and in everyday life? Your insights connect us directly to the enduring story of human resilience.